Predictive censorship, silenced before you speak. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Predictive AI series. Censorship used to be reactive. You said something, they didn't like it, and they took it down. There was a sequence: action, then consequence. But today, that model is outdated. Because the systems we interact with no longer wait for you to say the wrong thing. They silence you before you speak. And the most dangerous part? You won't even know it happened. This is predictive censorship, a system where speech is filtered based not on its content, but on its potential. Where algorithms don't just moderate your words, they moderate your likelihood of causing disruption based on your tone, your history, your social graph, and your emotional signature. It's not just about what you say, it's about what you might say. And that predictive assumption is enough to trigger suppression. Let's break this open. On the surface, it looks harmless. Platforms want to create safe spaces. They want to reduce harm. They say they're protecting users from misinformation, hate speech, and extremism. But who defines those terms? And who enforces them? Increasingly, it's not people. It's predictive models, machine learning systems trained to scan, flag, and penalize based on evolving definitions of risk. Now here's the catch. These models don't only respond to offensive language. They assess intent. They track emotional inflection, engagement patterns, and even posture and vocal tone on video platforms. They don't just read your message. They interpret your mood, your sarcasm, your frustration, your timing, and if that emotional profile registers as escalating or non-compliant, the system can shadow ban you before you even hit publish. Yes, you can be silenced without ever being heard. And most of the time, you won't even know it happened. You'll post like normal. You'll share your content. You'll hit publish. But your reach will quietly die. Your engagement will vanish. The algorithm will bury you, not because you broke the rules, but because you looked like someone who might. Your digital fingerprint was flagged as high risk. So your voice gets locked in a box and the system moves on. No explanation required. This is a form of preemptive digital exile, and it's invisible by design. Let me give you a real-world example. In 2021, Facebook released internal research showing that their AI content moderation flagged and removed millions of posts as misinformation, but later admitted that over 90% of them were false positives. In other words, the algorithm thought those posts were dangerous, not because of what they said, but because of how they looked. Now imagine that at scale. Millions of users, muted in the background, not suspended, not banned, just silenced without notice. This is the future of censorship: quiet, automated, and deeply psychological. Because once people realize that posting certain things reduces their reach, hurts their business, or triggers review, they stop sharing altogether. They internalize the censorship, they self-edit, they pre-filter, and eventually, they stop speaking before the algorithm has to. That's the goal. Predictive censorship isn't about enforcement, it's about conditioning. Now let's go deeper. These systems don't just moderate individual posts. They build emotional and ideological profiles over time. Your tone on past content, the velocity of your language, the emotional energy in your captions, the ratio of outrage to approval. All of it is stored. All of it is modeled. And from there, the system decides if you are a threat to the narrative structure it's designed to protect. You can be punished for energy, not evidence. Your ideas may be accurate, logical, and fact-based. But if they carry the emotional signature of rebellion, resistance, or questioning, you're flagged. Because the system doesn't care about truth. It cares about stability. And anything that destabilizes the status quo, especially with passion, is labeled a disruption vector. This is how compliance is coded into the architecture of the internet. And it gets even more disturbing when you realize this doesn't just apply to text. Predictive censorship is now being tested on voice patterns, eye movement, facial muscle tension, and even gesture recognition. AI can detect if you're about to express sarcasm, if your smile is forced, if your tone contains anger or cynicism. It can analyze your delivery and make an emotional judgment. Combine that with keyword probabilities and behavioral history, and you've got a complete forecast model of potential toxicity. This is emotional surveillance disguised as content moderation. And yes, it's already happening on video platforms, live streams, and corporate meeting software. You're not just being watched, you're being scored in real time. Now consider what this does to communication at scale. If every message must pass through a filter that prejudges your intent, how long before the message itself becomes meaningless? If you have to think about how your tone might be read by a neural net, how honest can you be? How creative? How spontaneous? The system is killing expression before expression happens. And that's not just censorship. That's linguistic sterilization. This is not a hypothetical. It's already embedded in tools like YouTube's toxicity classifiers, TikTok's live stream moderation cues, and Instagram's hidden comment filters. These features automatically downrank or delete content flagged as emotionally high risk. They don't need moderators. The algorithm does the dirty work. But here's the part they don't tell you. The rules change constantly. What's considered safe today may be unsafe tomorrow. And the system doesn't owe you a warning. One day your video is trending. The next day, it's shadow banned. Not because you changed, but because the algorithm did. The target is always moving. And in that environment, compliance becomes a moving target. This creates a chilling effect, a subconscious fear, a quiet pressure to water down your message, remove the edges, play it safe. Not because you're wrong, but because being too right, too early, or too clear might get you silenced. The result? The smartest people stay quiet, and the loudest voices that remain are the ones trained to color inside the lines. This is not by accident. Predictive censorship trains the population to think small, speak soft, and stay in bounds. And when the algorithm becomes the judge of emotion, nuance dies. Here's the deeper danger. This doesn't just affect creators or activists, it affects everyone. Students afraid to speak out in Zoom classrooms, employees punished for tone during digital meetings, therapists censored for non-mainstream views on health, teachers flagged for discussing banned books, everyday people walking on digital eggshells because the system might misinterpret their energy. This is emotional suppression at scale, and it has real consequences. When people lose the ability to express anger, grief, confusion, or dissent in healthy ways, they explode, or they implode. Emotional bottlenecking leads to social fragmentation, isolation, paranoia, depression. The human nervous system was not designed to perform for algorithms. We were designed to communicate with presence, texture, and depth. But in a predictive system, depth is risky. Texture is unpredictable. Emotion is unsafe. And the algorithm punishes anything it can't control. So how do we push back? First, by refusing to internalize the machine's judgment. Your truth, when expressed with integrity, is not dangerous. Your voice is not toxic. Your frustration is not criminal. Your refusal to conform is not a flaw. It is a sign that you are still alive. Second, by learning how predictive filters work. The more you understand the markers they look for, tone, timing, tempo, the better you can recognize when you're being coerced into silence. And once you see it, you can choose to resist. Third, by protecting platforms that still allow raw expression. Spaces where nuance is valued, where debate is welcome, where disagreement is not flagged as a threat. Those spaces are rare. Guard them. Support them. Build them if you must. And finally, by remembering that the algorithm doesn't know your soul. It doesn't feel what you feel. It doesn't live what you live. It doesn't carry your story. And it doesn't get the final word. Because in the end, censorship is not just about deleting speech. It's about deleting the possibility of speech. And predictive systems are doing that faster than anyone expected. The goal of this series is not to scare you. It's to show you that you are not crazy for feeling watched. You are not paranoid for hesitating. You are not alone for sensing the walls closing in. You were right. Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing. And no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones. The replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans, the merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SOS School of SoS Vault to overstand the future before it's implemented on you.